All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to the head apostle, now there's a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace and blessings to you, sincere Akim, that are pushing this truth all over the four corners of the earth, week in and week out in all truth and sincerity, and Shalom to the elect. I want to touch on this article concerning this new flesh eating infection. And I'll leave the link in the description box as well to this article because I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But this article is from Gizmodo.com. It says flesh eating infections of the vulva are on the rise, doctors warn. And this is a recent article posted a couple days ago. It says doctors in the UK and other countries have reported a rise in cases of necrotizing fasciitis. It says a rare but horrific kind of infection might be on the rise. Gynecologists in the UK have begun to see an alarming increase in people with necrotizing fasciitis of the vulva, aka the flesh eating disease. Doctors at the Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital Trust detailed three such cases in a paper published this month in BMJ case reports. All three women were hospitalized and one died as a result. These cases are part of the growing trend in the UK, the doctors say, and infections that can cause necrotizing fasciitis, which is flesh-eating disease, are increasing in the US as well. It says necrotizing fasciitis is a serious type of bacterial infection that destroys the soft tissue underneath our skin, particularly with fascia, hence the name. While the appearance of this infection might resemble freshly chewed flesh, the bacteria are actually eating it away. Once this destruction starts, it can rapidly spread and trigger other life-threatening complications like sepsis. People can die from necrotizing fasciitis in as little as 12 hours after symptoms begin. Okay, so it is a very quickly reactive disease. Just from your first symptoms, you can die very shortly after. And as quick as 12 hours from you realizing that something's wrong before you set up a doctor's appointment, before you're even able to get to the hospital or to the doctor, you very well could pass ultimately for not even knowing that you have a disease or you have a problem. Okay. And this is according to doctors. It is rapidly spreading over in the UK and beginning to rapidly spread over in the United States as well. And this very well could be something created in a laboratory by Esau Edom. This very well also could be something that has ultimately formed by improper hygiene. You know, just a lot of uncleanliness that goes on amongst the people. You know, various different dispersants that Esau puts in the air, puts in the chemicals they put in the water, in the food, that's interacting with the things that are in our body. And you see these diseases form, all right? And like we told you, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we're going to keep seeing more and more and more diseases. The C19, yeah, well, that was just the beginning. That was just a trial run by Esau Edom, these wicked elites, the powers that be. And Esau has a whole lot more of those type of scenarios and even worse that he wants to roll out onto the earth, to the public, to the people, ultimately to fulfill his agenda. That's why we constantly got to pray to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, because we're being attacked on all sides. Like the scripture says, we battle not against flesh and blood, but principalities, all right? And I'm going to get that as well. We're battling demons. we're battling these various different things that these devils are putting in our food, our water, our air. Okay, you know, we can't forget that, you know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, y'all are the test subjects. We're the guinea pigs, whether we know it or not. Esau comes in our communities. You know, he you know, sets up various different um, experiments on Jake and data logs and records the results. All right, various different foods that you Jakes eat. You're ultimately partaking in an experiment. This is Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10. It says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might." Yeah, we got to keep our faith and trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Like the scripture says, you know, I can do all things through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai who strengtheneth me. It says, verse 11, "Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." All right, and the devil has many, many wiles. The scripture says that, you know, the devil is a, a roaring lion seeking who he may devour, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, and he profits off of your disease, your sickness, and even your death. It says, "Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So we're battling against spiritual wickedness in high places. All right, and that is something that the majority of our people are ignorant to. Okay, they really don't understand what's going on right in front of their face and what's going on all around them. The things that they can see, they do not understand. Furthermore, they don't understand the things that they cannot see. All right, just like Yahweh Shai said, you know, if I tell you of earthly things, matter of fact, let's get that real quick. This is John chapter 3, verse 12. It says, "If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things?" Okay? You know, the things that are right before our people's face, documentation, articles, evidence, documents, okay, history, and you know, you won't receive it, you won't believe it. Well, how are you going to receive spiritual things, man? And the answer is they can't. And ultimately, they've been blinded by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, so they cannot receive the spiritual things, the heavenly things, this wisdom, knowledge, and truth, right? Okay. Let's read that in the, let's pull that up in the NLT. This is John chapter 3, verse 12. Let's see what that says. It says, "But if you don't believe me when I tell you about earthly things, how can ye possibly believe if I tell you about heavenly things?" Okay. And ultimately, the majority of our people cannot and will not receive the full understanding of this wisdom, knowledge, and truth. Okay. Now let's go back to Ephesians chapter 6 and continue on. This is Ephesians 6 and 12. It says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." And Esau, Edom, is doing anything and everything he can against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. He's using everything that the Lord has given him. You know, he's conjuring up demons. He's seeking advice. He's seeking help. He's seeking aid. He's seeking power. Okay, you know, from the spiritual demon Satan. You know, and these wicked elites receive their instructions, their orders directly from the spiritual demon Satan, who works and takes orders from the Most High Yahweh, contrary to popular belief. It says, Verse 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh. So we got to take upon us the whole armor. All right, you leave one piece of armor, you leave one piece of armor off of you during a battle, during a war, and the enemy is going to exploit that particular position on your body, right? We got to understand this devil, like the scripture says, is wiser than Daniel. He's very, very well sought out, very smart. Okay, it says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Okay, so we got to constantly pray for protection, constantly pray for more faith, constantly pray for the Lord to strengthen not just our mind, but our bodies as well, because Esau Edom is doing everything he can to get us sick, to make us weak, pushing all these various different types of things, in the food system, which, we try to eat as healthy as we can, but there's only so much you can do under the rulership of these devils. You try to go to a health food store, you try to cook your own food, you try to do various different things, but there's only so far you can go, because this whole earth is polluted, all right, under the rulership of these devils, all right? Once again, I'll leave the link in the description box. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim or Chahakwadash. Double honors to the head apostle, and that is a great millstone who rule well and teach well. And shalom to the elect.